Hi, welcome to Astrobabble. I'm Donna from Donna B Astrology.
And I'm Linda from Scullywag Astrology.
And today we're going to be talking about the full moon in Sagittarius.
That will be at 23 degrees and 25 minutes.
Perfect. Linda, did you want to bring up the chart? And I can be talking about the moon mansion. So the moon mansion is going to be the 21st moon mansion, and it's good for sowing seeds or buying animals. It's also good for buying land as well as making clothes. It is not good for the seventh house, things like the one-on-one relationships.
Interesting. So no good for marriage either, or?
Not good for marriage. I
Ah.
know for a June, it's, it's, you hate to say that, but it's where we are.
Oh, that's a point too. So you said the 21st moon mansion or something. What degrees does that kind of cover?
Well, that will cover, hold on, because I do have that information. It covers from 17 degrees, 8 minutes, 36 seconds to the end of the sign, 30 degrees, 59 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just that last little bit of that sign.
So if you're going to get married in June or anytime, don't have the moon in the late degrees of Sagittarius, apparently. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It worked out, for a few things that I've worked with the moon mansions for electional. So I would tend to take it with a grain of salt. at least listen to the advice. A lot of people, they're not going to change what they're already planning on doing, and that's okay. That's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's, if you're supposed to learn a lesson, you're going to learn it.
Well, you just work to have the rest of the electional elements kind of bonify it or fortify it. So to overcome that moon mansion, perhaps. Is that possible? Or
I'm not so sure when it's something like that, because they have some moon mansions where it creates a shipwreck, and I'm not so sure I would want to. I don't know how you would mitigate a shipwreck.
Yeah.
If you
now I want to go.
You're wrecking your boat.
Now I want to go and look and see when the Titanic was launched and what moon mansion it was in.
That would be very cool to find out, and it would be easy. I mean, they would have the day, and unless the moon does move pretty fast, and it might be in between days, but it would be interesting to look at for sure.
Yeah,
we'll have to write that down. On how and to see, we could do an episode on all of aspects, because I know the Titanic was sunk on a sextile or a trine, and you would think that they're good aspects, but they're not. They just just remove the obstacles of what's holding it back. So it would be interesting to do, to show people how the aspects work. Like, what does the square look like? What does an opposition or a conjunction look like? It would be, we'll have to write that down.
We definitely need to do that episode. That would be really interesting. But just with the Titanic, I'm kind of wondering now, like, do you do it when it was actually launched? Like, when what did they call it when they christen a ship? Do they call it christening, or? When they break the bottle? Yeah. Whether it was that, or whether it was actually set out on the journey, or because it was a maiden voyage too. So
it was a maiden voyage, and you christen the ship when you put it in the water. Did they christen it? Did they put it in the water? I can't imagine
I have no idea
that it went floating on the same day they put it in the water. I don't know of anybody who would want to put a boat in water, because a lot of times fittings on boats, they tend to They have parts that will swell with the water, and after a while the leaks kind of stop.
Mhm.
So I'm not so sure I would put a
Uh-huh.
boat in water and then fill it with a whole bunch of people, then take off that day. You know, me.
Well, yeah, we'll have to do a little bit more investigating about all those details, and yeah, definitely look at the chart and do a episode on that.
Yeah.
But this isn't about leaking ships. This is about not good seventh house matters with
Right.
this.
Right.
Interesting.
But the moon's only there for
And
a
what
couple
else
of days,
have we got?
maybe a day,
Yeah,
in that little
yeah.
section.
And I mean, it's only the last half of the Sagittarius moon sort of thing. What did you say, from the 17th or something?
From
18th
17
degree?
degrees. Yeah. From 17 degrees to 30 degrees. So it's only like.
So it's maybe a day or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's happening on
Interesting.
Tuesday. So if you were to get married, it would, the moon mansion would be later if you were marrying on the weekend.
Interesting. Yeah. And we've got Neptune kind of square. It's a couple of degrees out, but squaring this full moon. So very dreamy full moon, maybe not very realistic. Full moons are about completion or reaching a high point or endings, but maybe there might be there's some misty, kind of foggy, kind of nebulous quality about this with the square from Neptune. But it does have a sextile from Saturn, which is strange. I mean, you've got all this fogginess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Mind you, that Saturn is retrograde, so it's not as strong as it could be.
Right. It could be wonky. It could, not act as forward as it needs to be.
Interesting. And you've got a stone of the month for us, I believe.
I do. After all of, with Neptune in stepping up and being a little bit more prominent, this is called fluorite, and it looks black. Okay. But if I were to put a flashlight behind it, is actually a dark purple stone. So I use this stone in almost all of my layouts. It would be rare that I would not, because you use it for focus. It relates to the wind element. So the things that your thoughts and stuff, it has a Mohs hardness of 4, so it can go into jewelry, but you would really need to be very careful with it. It comes in green, purple, yellow, pink, red, blue, black, and white. It's found in Germany, England, China, Argentina, and the United States. And like I said, I use it for focus. It is you can't, did I say Mexico? Because this is Mexican. This is Mexican fluorite. It is dark purple. And this is, I have lighter. They do come in lighter colors, but I like the dark purple. The dark purple is for that third eye, and that's the chakra that I use it on. It's for the third eye, and it's for focus. So it also grows in an octahedral kind of cubic or octahedral. Yeah. So in other words, if you put a pyramid on top of a pyramid, that's the shape that this is. And that's how it normally, that's how it naturally grows, which is kind of cool. There's another one.
That is cool.
Yeah, that's how it naturally grows. And that's kind of cool when you see that stones actually grow in, with facets. You would think that everything has to be cut, and no, they actually do have their own facets, and that's what that's one of the things that make them, a fluorite. So yeah, and the other colors you can use on the other chakras, which It's a
Mhm.
great stone,
Oh,
and it is
interesting.
one
Interesting.
definitely to have for studying aids. If you have decisions to make to help you decide, a more focused, way to decide. So
Mhm.
yeah, I use it in every, I would use it in almost every layout I do. Unless
Mhm.
somebody says, you know what, I just need to get, scatterbrained, which I don't know very many people who want to do that, but
Oh, very cool. And shall we go and do the horoscopes for the full moon?
oh, that sounds like a great idea.
So what are we? This is Sagittarius full moon, isn't it? Talking about being scatterbrained.
Well, we are still recording in the Mercury retrograde, so
Yes, we've had a lot of trouble with glitches in this recording. In fact, I've had to go in and re-record a lot of audio, unfortunately. But that's the joy of working with Mercury retrograde. Hopefully, going forward, the recording should be so much better, or at least that's the hope.
I'm hoping.
That's the hope. And just to switch things up, because I usually do all the horrible houses, I thought I might do the first house this time.
Well, go ahead.
So we kind of, because usually you do all the odd houses and I do the evens.
So I thought we might start with me doing the odds, and you can do the evens this time.
That sounds perfect.
If you're a Sagittarius ascendant, this is all about you.
This full moon, because it's going to be in your first house. And because it is in your first house, and the first house is a very visible house, you might find that you're more emotional than usual and that others notice this.
But you're looking for culmination, endings, or high points related to you, your appearance, and how others perceive you. You might be, achieving something that you've been working towards at this time.
Perfect. Maybe finishing school, a higher education, definitely with a full moon. If you are a Scorpio rising, this full house, or the full house, the full moon is going to happen in your second house. And playing poker is a thing to do. If you're not playing poker, this is going to have to do with your finances. So if you have, things that you are wanting to wrap up, that might be some big financial moves. Maybe selling stocks. I don't know. I have no idea on financial things. I don't know if but that would be one of the things you're doing, or maybe consolidating your finances, just moving money around, or even maybe buying something, a good investment.
Yeah, it could be big ticket item, maybe.
And if you're a Libra ascendant, this full moon is happening in your third house. So this is the house of siblings, communications, transportation, short journeys. It's also your local neighborhood. So matters to do with that. It could be you're finishing up a short course. It wouldn't be like a university degree or something, a longer course, which would be ninth house. This is short courses. But, you might be getting a new car. You might be doing something with a sibling and you're wrapping that up. Or perhaps it's your sibling that's doing something, having some sort of high point in their life.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah.
That sounds like an okay rising sign if you're a Libra. If you are a Virgo, you're still having fun, because this is going to be what's culminating in your lineage, your home. Maybe something that you're working on at home. You're finishing a project, which this is the time of year in the northern hemisphere where you can get after some remodeling or those kinds of things, especially with Sagittarius.
Mhm.
Want to expand that view.
Yeah. And if you're a Leo ascendant, this is the full moon's happening in your fifth house. So this is the house of children, creativity, it's fun activities, it's socializing, it can be sports, it can be hobbies, romance, and it can also be gambling. So just whatever you find fun, what you enjoy, what brings you joy, there could be something coming to a culmination or a high point. Could be birth of a child, or it could be you finish that creative project that you've been working on, or perhaps you've been planning some big event, like, you know, it could be anything. The thing that popped into my head was like family reunion or something, but some big event that you might have been planning on, and now it's come to a completion.
I don't know why some moons this one just seems funner than the other ones. I don't know why. But if you are a Cancer ascendant, this full moon's going to happen in your 6th house.
Mhm.
And this would be a time to be careful of your health, maybe even your hips, because Sagittarius has a lot to do with your hips.
Yeah, hips and thighs.
Yeah. You know, so if you are going for hip surgery, this might be something that you are doing, or getting out of rehab from hip surgery. I think I know a couple people who have had hip surgeries recently. So hopefully they're getting out of, the hospital after having that done. This could also have to do with service as well. If you are, having, if you are, I know for the new moon and for this full moon, the last new moon and for this full moon that we're working on is Memorial Day and Flag Day. Flag Day is when this full moon's going to happen. So, it just has a lot to do with service. So you might be putting the final touches of a parade together, which would be of service.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if you are a Gemini ascendant, this full moon's happening in your 7th house.
It might be quite an emotional time for your closest one-on-one relationships. Yeah. So this could be a high point or a culmination or an ending. It doesn't mean that if, your relationship's going to end. I mean, you're going to have a full moon in Sagittarius every year. If you're a Gemini ascendant, the full moon in Sagittarius is always going to fall in your 7th house. It's just the way it is. It doesn't mean that, oh my God, my relationship's going to end. It could be just, you've reached a peak. Maybe you've achieved something together. Maybe you've moved on to a next step, or in some cases, maybe you're breaking up.
Yeah, that's those one-on-one relationships are definitely can be, nothing is ever stable. Nothing can be, fixed.
Mhm.
Some things can, but not when it comes with the moon. Your emotions are very fluid, I would think. But if you are a Taurus, this is going to happen in your 8th house, and this is going to have to do with other people's money. It could be that you're paying taxes or paying off something that you had borrowed money. That would be those would be a few of the things that would happen if you are a Taurus rising.
Mhm. And if you're an Aries ascendant, the full moon will be in your 9th house.
This is the house of overseas travel, foreigners, beliefs, religion, other cultures, publishing, the law, and higher education. It can also include esoteric subjects such as astrology or tarot.
So yeah, some completion or high point regarding these subjects.
In the case of the law, it could be that you've been at trial and this is a time when a trial is wrapping up. Or with higher education, it could be a case that you're finishing studies at this time. Or publishing, maybe something's published. Maybe you reach a peak in some form for one of those topics.
Very good. And if you are a Pisces rising, this is going to happen in your 10th house. And this is going to have to do with your career or what you're known for. This could be a job change. This could be, getting that promotion that you've been working hard for. This could also mean a change in how other people view you. Stepping up.
Mm-hmm. And if you're an Aquarius ascendant, this full moon is going to be in your 11th house. This is a house of groups, friends, and organizations. It's your allies. It can include things like networking, and it's also your hopes and dreams. So for some people, this could be quite nice. It could be you've reached that goal of whatever ambition or dream that you've been working towards. For others, it's events to do with groups or friends. Maybe you've had some big event you've been working towards, and that happens at this time. Or it could be, unfortunately, the end of a friendship, or it could be you're leaving a group, or a group is being disbanded. But not necessarily. I like to think of the full moon as being
quite positive, and full moons are associated with harvest.
You plant the seeds at the new moon, and at the full moon you harvest. So hopefully it's a good harvest and it's good events.
Yeah. I'm still thinking that this is going to be a good new moon or good full moon. And if Capricorn is your rising, then this is going to be in your 12th house. And that has to do with secluding yourself off. So if you are writing a book, this would be a good time to, hike up into the mountains and get to writing. Or if you've not been paying attention to the law, this might be when you finally get caught by the authorities and locked up. So
yeah, or even just secrets in general, because it's hidden and secret matters. So if you've been trying to keep something secret, it could come out at
this time,
right? Or a hidden enemy.
Interesting.
Thank goodness for closed captions. Yeah, Linda, you do a great job on that. I think that's going to help the glitching, because I am hearing a bit of it.
Now we can do the aspects, or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, aspects. I'm a bit silly tonight. Okay. Yeah.
So the planetary aspects that we're going to have during this full moon period is the first one is going to be the sun is going to trine Saturn. Saturn is retrograde now. So, like we said, those trines remove all obstacles. So if you're trying to build anything, this might remove some of the obstacles, but I would be cautious of that retrograde aspect. It is retrograde. So what you think Saturn is going to act like, could go sideways. So just be ready for it.
Yeah. And I mean, we've got that square to Neptune at the same time. So yeah, Saturn trine Sun, I kind of see this as like, you've got things you need to do and you're going to do them, and, it's not overjoyed, but, you're going to do them, and, you don't feel too bad about it. But like you said, it's retrograde. So you might you might start out not feeling too bad about, okay, I've got to do this. I set out and do it. But then with it being retrograde, you might just there's more limitations, there's just delays, it takes longer than you expect, and that might just sour it a little bit.
Yeah, because it's also a sense of duty with Sun and Saturn, and that might not go off the way you expected it to.
Mm-hmm.
That could be an issue. Just make sure you have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted. Because Saturn wants you to follow the rules, and I'm not so sure Saturn is in a strong enough position to really make the rules right now, being in retrograde. But it still wants the rules to be followed, and it still wants to constrain you and constrict. So you might think that you've got the vitality, and
it might just wear you down more than you anticipated.
And then so the second aspect on the same day is going to be this the sun squaring Neptune. So whatever you thought was what the rules were, Neptune might interject a little bit of unclarity into that whole idea.
I almost think deluding yourself a little bit here. You lying to yourself might be a little bit harsh for that, but like you're not being kind of fully honest with yourself, perhaps. Whether that ties in with the trine to Saturn at the same time, I'm not 100% sure, or whether they're just kind of two events happening
Side by side.
simultaneously, or whether they're, you know, intimately tied in. I'm not sure, but yeah, just kind of self-delusion, I kind of think.
Or on the positive side, it could as well be, you know, a brilliant idea that is just, you would really need to get your mind far, far out there to come up with this abstract solution.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe a bit of a pipe dream at this time. Yeah, which would fit in with the Saturn, but the Saturn's trine, so yeah. Yeah, just Neptune. It can be very slippery.
It can be unclear. I mean, that's its that's its character, you know, second name is unclear. Foggy.
What am I not seeing? Yeah.
Yeah. So on the 18th, we have Venus squaring Saturn. And as we mentioned before, Saturn is retrograde at this point. So anything that you would normally expect with the Saturn Venus, you know, set up aspect, you know, of that stability and even good marriage with the Saturn and Venus, it could go a little weird because it is retrograde. So it acts not in its usual manner. So if things are going to go awry, it's more likely they're going to go to awry when the planet is retrograde.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Saturn with Venus, you were talking about Saturn being like duty or obligation. That square makes it difficult or tense. Limitations in relationships. You've got a sextile between Venus and Neptune at the time. So Venus is much more interested in that lovely romantic vibe, and then kind of gets knocked down to earth, I think. Just looking at this moon here too, a couple of hours, because that might trigger it. So around about what, nearly 11 a.m. on the 18th. So it's a Saturday. That's for your Eastern time, aren't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, that might be might be time for an argument, maybe. Where's Mars? Mars is at 18. But maybe not an argument, but maybe feeling just a little bit discontent and just kind of like, you know, the things I have to do to keep my partner happy, or just, I wouldn't say resentment, but just kind of like, you know, there's a desire for something much more romantic and
elusive. The other thing is with Venus and Saturn is unconventional gatherings, because you would have
Venus and Saturn.
with the I'm really concentrating on the Saturn retrograde. So the normal gatherings that you would normally have in a certain way might be a little different. Sacrifice is another.
Interesting.
That strong duty people could sacrifice.
With Saturn representing older people too, this could be not so much romantic relationships. This could be relationship with people that are older. This could be, I wouldn't necessarily say parents, but I mean, Saturn can represent the father. So yeah, maybe just, you know, maybe this is kind of like a generational type thing for some people. Just, you know, okay, boomer, you know, that sort of dismissive attitude that can be around sometimes. I don't know. Yeah, but I really don't like the square from Saturn. I don't like
No.
squares or oppositions from Saturn. And yeah, there's that daydreamy aspect happening at the same time with it's moving up to do that with Neptune very soon.
Yeah.
So, which will be the next day, actually.
Yeah. This is where you're going to find the romantic love. This is Venus sextiling Neptune. So you'll find romantic love and maybe even indecision in love.
Yeah, I see like the sextiles and trines between Venus and Neptune as being kind of like the whole knight in shining armor type thing. It's, it can be very wildly romantic, but it's not very practical and it's hard to maintain or live up to that sort of thing. It could be good for creativity.
Yes. Artistic and mystical pursuits would be
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's still very close to that square at the time from the looks of it. So from Saturn. So that's going to be, maybe you've got these great ideas for a book, or maybe you want to be with, your loved one, but you've got all these obligations and you're not going to be able to spend as much time doing all those lovely things because you've got obligations,
Yeah.
So.
But it is a dream. It is one of the dreamier aspects.
Oh yeah, totally.
So on the 20th, we have Mercury sextiling Jupiter.
Yeah, big ideas.
Or big news.
Yeah, it could be big news. Yeah.
Good day to brainstorm.
Mercury's strong here. It's in its own sign. It's what's Jupiter, and Jupiter's in Aries, so Jupiter's kind of got a lot of drive behind it. It's going to want to act on those ideas.
Yeah.
And it's optimistic and enthusiastic about it too,
Are they in their own bounds? Jupiter's in Jupiter's bounds?
Look, it's Mercury's, if Mercury's not in Mercury's bounds, it's in Jupiter's, which would be interesting. And then, it looks like Jupiter's within its own bounds. It looks like. When they get so close to the border, it's hard to tell. And I don't have a little thing here to tell me when exactly they switch over, but but that's nice. And that Jupiter's in the superior condition or position, I should say. So it's lending all that enthusiasm and generosity and optimism. And it's in a fire sign that wants to do something. So, and a cardinal sign. So, could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then let's see what we have next. We have on this 21st, we have the sun moves into Cancer, which is the beginning, it is the summer solstice for here. Is it as well? What is it called? Do you guys call it the summer solstice in the Southern Hemisphere?
It's winter solstice here. Yeah. Okay. It's just our seasons are opposite. So this is, let me think, it's our shortest day here. So it must be your longest day of the year.
Yep. Yeah.
So with tropical astrology, which is what we and most Western astrologers are practicing, the zodiac signs aren't linked to the actual stars anymore. Sidereal astrology does that, but they're linked to the seasons. So as Donna said, the beginning of Cancer is the summer solstice up there, and it's a winter solstice in the Southern Hemisphere. And this is when you've had your longest day there, did we say? You've had your longest day. So gradually it's going to start getting more dark, less light during the day.
Yeah.
You've still got more light than dark during the day, but it's up until, when will it be? Libra?
The equinox,
when we
yeah.
have the equinox, then it will get to even, and then the darkness will start taking over. But this is the peak of your light, and yeah, it's going to decrease from then on out.
So the sun is very strong. For anybody who's in the sun should wear sunscreen. But other than that, yeah, with the sun moving into Cancer, it's a very strong sun. So wherever the sun is going to be aspecting it, the sun's going to have a lot more say in what it normally does. And the sun has a lot of say anyway. It gives you the vitality. It gives us life here on Earth. So you really shouldn't discount the sun at any point when you're at any part during the year. But this is the time when the sun is the strongest. So
yeah. And wherever the sun is in your chart at the time, so wherever Cancer is in your natal chart, the sun's kind of shining a light on that area of your chart at the time. It takes about a month to go through each sign. So yeah, so there'll be a focus on whatever house Cancer is for you in your natal chart.
yeah. And then for the other aspect that's going to happen on the same day is Venus is trining Pluto. Now, this is going to have a lot to do. I think it's going to have a lot to do with the Persephone Hades thing. As I mentioned, what was it for what was the one that we did at the end of April?
Oh,
the full moon. Oh, here it is.
Was it? I think it was actually an eclipse, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the solar eclipse?
Yeah. So if you look at the eclipse horoscopes one, and I said that when Venus and Pluto get together, it's that Persephone Hades thing, and we had a Venus sextile Pluto. And the following day, literally, the Supreme Court justices had a leak in within their system, and it had a lot to do with controlling sex. I said bad sex, but controlling sex is just as bad, in my opinion. And this very well might have something to do with that playing out, how that's going to play out. Or we'll get some news about that. Whatever should be lifted, that because the trines remove those obstacles. So
yeah,
maybe we can get some other news on that front.
Yeah, that will be interesting.
I have the very watered down version of my Persephone Hades.
Yeah, I was going to say,
this
do you want to?
It gives me all the Greek
that's
mythology.
Okay.
Yeah, Demeter. It was her daughter. She lost her daughter to Hades. Hades came up and stole her, and so Persephone had to go down below the underworld with Hades as a captive, and so Demeter stopped letting plants grow up on the earth, and until they had gotten that resolved, where Persephone was allowed to come back for a part of the time. So it's that same controlling, feeling.
Yeah. And Pluto is associated with, the underworld and that. So that would be Hades, who was god of the underworld. And and interesting. But it will be very interesting to see. So what's that, the 21st of June? It'd be interesting to see if anything does come out about Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, it would be. I don't think I heard that. I don't know when the courts are going to get back together. Do they have a break? I don't know if they're doing it before the break. I have to investigate that. Well, we'll see what happens with that on that day.
Yeah.
See if you hear any news.
On a personal level, for people, I would kind of think intense. Because Pluto brings the intensity, so intense relationships, intense affections, for good or bad. You would hope that trine would be good. Some people like intensity, revel in it. Some people aren't comfortable with that. So even if it wasn't necessarily controlling or whatever, they just might not feel comfortable with it. But as Donna said, sometimes these trines and sextiles, they just make it easier for a planet to exert its energies. And in a case like this, it could just make it easier for Hades or Pluto to do something with Venus. But I would hope that it would be something a little less destructive. Hopefully just intense. And this could be, you know, Venus could be, we could be looking at art, or we could be looking at beauty. We could be, these planets, like the houses, have many different significations. So
it could be changing
whatever,
up, just transforming an art piece. If you were doing, if you were working on an art thing and you're like, I really don't like how that bush looks in that painting, you could change it up. I mean, this would be the day. That's the kind of energy that is. Transformative. Could also as well transform a love relationship. Either move it up higher, or change it completely.
Yeah. And then we don't have any aspects for a while from the looks of it.
Well, actually, on 6/22 we do. We have we have Venus moving into Gemini. This is a big talk. Just the gift of gab.
Yeah, Venus into Gemini. That'll be fun. That's flirty. That's fun, flirty. It's very close to Gemini. I'm not Gemini, to Mercury at the time too. That's a lot of, I just think of flirty, fun, partying, social. That's nice.
School will be out up here at that time, so all those talkers will hopefully not get too frustrated. They'll find somebody to talk to, but they'll be able to talk to anybody that they want to and not get in trouble for talking during class. So
no, that's nice. Yeah,
good thing this is happening after school. Yeah, it should be a good one. It's one of the better aspects that we have coming up. I like it.
Yeah.
So we can sit here and gab for 5 days. And then on the 26th, we have Mars sextiling Saturn. Those are two malefic planets that they, no matter whether you're born at night or during the day, both of these planets are going to be aspecting you because they're aspecting each other. Okay, that being said, this could be constructive drive. When you need that stability of Saturn in a very fixed sign, and that drive of Mars, to get a project done in Aries. I mean, that would be a positive aspect for those two planets. The other, on the negative side, you could have constraint and prisoner. I don't know why I'm saying prisoner. But you could have
interesting.
You could have, well, Saturn is retrograde, so whatever you think is going to happen could actually go sideways. The stability of Saturn isn't as stable as it normally is. Yeah, it should be an interesting day for sure.
Yeah, I think it could be constructive. They're both in their own signs. The fact that Saturn is retrograde does complicate matters, and Saturn is in the superior position. But I see this. I think of like Mars as being like a boxer, and Saturn being like what do they call them? The trainer sort of thing,
Yeah.
Yeah, but the train is a little bit distracted at this moment. He's not kind of giving the Mars his full attention. But he's kind of supportive, but he's not as supportive as he usually is. So that Mars, it might be a little bit more, have its own way a little bit more. I mean, that could be good or bad. Yeah, hopefully not too bad. It's a sextile.
Yeah. And I think this is the kind of aspect that you don't have to do anything for the aspect to manifest. I think this will just happen. This is one of those aspects that just happens, not ones that you have to do something to create an event. I think this just happens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mars being energy, maybe you start out in a project and maybe you're not taking breaks. Maybe you're kind of pushing yourself further than you really should. Normally maybe that Saturn would kind of say, okay, well, that's enough for today. Now rest. And you're kind of like, no, I feel fantastic. I'm going to keep going. And then you kind of burn yourself out perhaps. But,
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Yeah, you can use, I mean, it's fixed energy from the Saturn. So, you could use it for, a positive thing that you need drive with. Jupiter's there to support that Mars being co-present. So you could get something worthwhile and big done, but I would be careful of things going sideways or, separation happening with the Mars, in there in the mix. Because Mars has that separation and Saturn has that constraining. I think that's why I was going locked up or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
On the negative.
I'm hoping it's more positive. I see that, Saturn is usually like a steady hand on that Mars, kind of directing it, kind of putting it to constructive use. Whereas this Saturn's a little bit distracted. It's looking back, thinking about it, what it's done and, recently traveled over and not giving that full attention to Mars. So Mars can kind of run ahead and do whatever it wants. But, Mars is in Aries. He's going to enjoy that. So,
it looks like Mars is in its own terms.
Oh, is it? Let me move this. Oh, good point. Yeah. I'm balanced.
A much stronger Mars.
Interesting. Well, yeah, it could be a power day to get stuff done. Just do it.
And then let's see, we have the following day is the new moon in Cancer. So
yeah, about 7 degrees. Looks like it'll be squared by Jupiter.
Yeah.
Oh, and Jupiter will be sextile Venus at the time.
Yes. So that is a good health day. Every time I see Venus and Jupiter together, try to do something good for your health.
Yeah.
You'll get that support to do it.
Yeah, you were saying it's a really good, I remember you saying we had one not long ago and it's really good for healing, I think you said. Yeah. Yeah, just a shame it's the Jupiter square that new moon, but interesting.
It will be an interesting conversation we have next time.
It will.
Yeah. So that's all the aspects. And for the lunar, going on for there. So
yeah, the aspects between the new moon and the next full moon. Yeah.
What do they call that? A
Oh, we call it a fortnight down here. You don't have that word up there, I believe.
Not commonly. We do in like Shakespeare plays and stuff.
Ye old English.
But we don't typically, yeah, if you were to say a fortnight, a lot of people would have to think of when is that. So a fortnight is between luminations.
Oh, a fortnight's just a 2-week period.
Oh,
That's that. I don't know if the original, perhaps, I don't know. I'll go have a look up. I'll have to look that up. But to me, as an Australian, a fortnight is just a 2-week period. Whether that started out because between the new and full moon or full moon and new moon, I don't know. That would be super interesting if that's the case. I don't know.
well. I don't
Got
know
me
either, but
wondering.
it is something that we will look at. I will look at it. I will find out. But anyways, Linda, what are you doing? Where can people reach you?
I'm at Scullywag Astrology. That's astrology.scullywag.com. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. I'm doing readings, natal chart readings. I'm doing relationship readings and look ahead readings.
Awesome.
And what about you, Donna?
I also do readings. You can get a hold of me at donnabarconsulting@gmail.com, but my website is donnabastrology.com. donnabastrology.com. That is my website. And I will also have an article on fluorite there as well. And I do readings. I do electional astrology, horary, as well as I work with crystals on crystal healing. So if you have chakras or if you've experienced a trauma or you're just not feeling good, it would be a good time to get a healing. I can either do them in person or I do them distance through Zoom. So, and that works on, because I don't really get a chance to often talk about it, but it works through, if you don't believe that there is constraints with energy and time, then this works because energy goes right to wherever it needs to go.
Yeah, Donna's done distance healing on me and it works. Yeah, it was brilliant.
So this is a good time to, make sure you're getting your health all organized and at its peak.
So please like or share or comment. We'd love a comment, wouldn't we, Donna?
We'd love a comment. We will comment back, either Linda or myself.
Yes, we will definitely comment back. But yeah, thank you for listening. But yeah, please consider subscribing or following or any of those things. Yeah, sharing. Yes, very much so. And we'll see you next time.
Yep. Bye.
Okay, bye.